Another day is here, and you're ready for it. What to wear? Check. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Check. Planning for what's next and how to save for it? That's where Bank of America can help. For your financial to-dos, Bank of America has experts ready to help get you closer to your goals. Get started at one of our local financial centers or 24/7 in our mobile banking app. Find a location near you at bankofamerica.com/talktous. What would you like the power to do? Mobile banking requires downloading the app and is only available for select devices. Message and data rates may apply. Bank of America N.A., member FDIC.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Hello and welcome to AI Scouted on Anfield Index Pro. I'm Dave Hendrick, joined today by Mr. Guy Drinkle. How are you, sir?
It's a nice day. We have a new Prime Minister who's, well, not for me, but he's better than the other bellend. We have an actual manager coming to Liverpool today. And we have football back, which we're going to talk about today, which is just lovely.
Yeah, we have Euros quarterfinals. There's a Copa America game. There was a game last night. Argentina beat Ecuador on penalties, despite Leo Messi clearly not being fit and missing his penalty. The Labour landslide arrived in even more impressive fashion than was expected. The Tories were wiped out, and Reform won less seats than Sinn Féin. So all of the talk of Nigel Farage someday being Prime Minister looks very, very silly at this moment in time. We have football today, though, and that's where we're going to focus. And we should just say a big fuck you to Carl Matchett this morning, who dragged me out of my bed at ungodly hours, also dragged Guy out of his bed at ungodly hours, and then didn't turn up. So whatever it is you're doing, Matchett, I hope it's horrible. Have yourself a miserable day. No, Carl is in Germany, obviously, at the Euros and got caught up with something. So myself and Guy are here, not quite as early as planned, but we were here as early as planned. Today, we have two games, and this really is the big day of games. Guys, some people think, and I think I'm among them, that Spain versus Germany in many ways will decide the winner of this tournament.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. It almost feels like today, especially, maybe less so tomorrow, that these should be almost the semi-finals. Because it's probably four of the favourites without England, but England have obviously been awful, but that's tomorrow's job. But yeah, certainly this game, these have been the two sides that have actually performed in this tournament. Only the two only big favourite sides that actually have performed. And I'm really looking forward to it, because I think when sometimes big teams play each other, it can be a bit of a stalemate, which the second game probably will be. But this feels like these two sides can't do stalemates. Like Spain especially are just so exciting with the two wingers especially, but Yamal, like, I don't watch La Liga anymore. I've not really watched La Liga since revisited the Liga back in the 2010s in its peak period. But to see a 16-year-old lad just take an international tournament by storm, it's fantastic. And watching Germany, there's some players you like. I don't rate him, Kai Havertz. I see his qualities and stuff like that, but he's not getting anyone off his feet, is he?
No.
But you just see how the team works well together now, considering the last three tournaments they've had. It's a big it's a big, almost rejuvenation of Nagelsmann's career, because he obviously did all right at Bayern Munich, but everyone does okay at Bayern Munich apart from Thomas Tuchel. It's good to see him get his young career rejuvenated, because he was, and probably still is, and should be one of the highest bought young coaches in the world. And to fit all these pieces together that haven't fit together for the best part of a decade, he's doing really well, even if they do go out today. But quarterfinals wouldn't be the best finish to their campaign, but if it's to go out to the best performing team in Spain, it wouldn't be that bad of a result, I don't think.
No, I fully agree. I think with the way Germany have played, they've certainly outperformed the 6 teams that will be in the other 3 games. The one team they haven't outperformed is this Spanish side, who've been excellent. And like you said, Lamine Yamal at 16, basically turning this tournament into a playground for himself, is just sensational. We've never seen a 16-year-old just play at this level. It's absolutely remarkable to watch this boy play. And like the kid on the other wing, Nico Williams, is only 21, and he's been magnificent as well. But because he's the better part of 5 years older than Yamal, he's almost a veteran at this point. Nagelsmann's an interesting one. You'd wonder how much of it is down to him and how much of it is the return of Toni Kroos, who sort of knitted everything together. But I agree with you. I mean, Julian Nagelsmann is still really young. He's only 36. He turns 37 in just less than 3 weeks. And his reputation had taken a bit of a battering. Obviously, he did incredibly well at Hoffenheim. He was so young when he got that job. Like, he was 29. I think he was actually 28 when they appointed him. Turned 29 the first summer and worked there for just over 3 years. But then he went to Leipzig, and he went there with a mandate to win the league, and he didn't get it done. Leaves after 2 seasons, goes to Bayern, wins the Bundesliga in his first year, but everybody wins the Bundesliga at Bayern. Even Thomas Tuchel won the Bundesliga in his first season at Bayern. Now, Nagelsmann will potentially claim that was because of him, but it was actually because Borussia Dortmund choked on the final day. He was sacked by Bayern, which, like, he did okay. He won 71% of his games, but there was a lot of confusion and a lot of the tactical stuff. A lot of the senior players didn't seem to get on all that well with him. I think a lot of them, because he was so close to their own ages, he's younger than Manuel Neuer. You know, he's in the same age bracket as Thomas Muller and people like that. So I think they just had a tough time really kind of getting along with him. The big factor there was Bayern paid so much to get him. I think they paid like 25 million euro to get him from Leipzig, to then sack him after 2 years. I think that made it look worse than it actually was.
They must regret it now, considering they've got Vincent Kompany of the manager.
Yeah, and like it was just such a strange thing in the summer where, like, just over a year after sacking Nagelsmann, they're gone cap in hand back to him after Alonso turns them down, after Sebastian Hoeneß turns them down. And they went through, like, there was 8 or 9 people pretty strongly linked to that Bayern job. And nobody seemed to want it. And eventually they end up with Vincent Kompany, of all people. And it wouldn't surprise me if they went with Kompany because they know they can sack him in a year if Alonso wants the job, or if Sebastian Hoeneß wants the job. And my guess would be they end up with Sebastian Hoeneß. Like, his uncle Uli, to this day still is, like, key in the background of Bayern. He's been more to the foreground in recent years, but he's still a very key member there. His family are Bayern royalty. We're seeing the Stuttgart team that he amazingly got into the top 4 get broken up this summer because a lot of the players had buyout clauses. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if he ends up at Bayern in a year, but look, it is what it is. Kompany will will do what he does, and he'll have to try and wrestle the title back from Alonso. But with Nagelsmann, it makes what's happened since he left has made him look better without him even having to do anything, because Bayern have just continuously gone downhill. With the German side, I mean, he's only managed 12 games, 7 wins, 3 draws, 2 defeats. The reintroduction of Kroos has been massive. He's been brilliant. But it's funny just to put Nagelsmann, who's, you know, one of the most hyped young managers we've ever seen, up against Luis de la Fuente, because when he got the Spanish job, it was kind of like, who? Who's this fella? He managed what? Because his only club job, he was the manager of the Athletic Bilbao reserves a couple of times. He'd managed a couple of smaller clubs back in the 90s and up until 2001. And then he had a short stint at Alves, which didn't go particularly well. He was sacked after 11 games. But he'd been in the national team setup. He'd managed the under-19s, the 21s, and the 23s. He got the Spain job because, like with Bayern, nobody else wanted it at the time. So he gets it. And to his credit, they have been incredible. And he's very quickly crafted a really good team. And he's doing this without Gavi, who'd be a starting midfielder without question. He's brought in Fabian Ruiz, put the trust in him. He's cobbled together a defence and made them a very cohesive unit. There's no... We've talked about Lamine and Nico. Like, they're going to be superstars. They're going to be top players. Pedri is going to be a top player. But outside of Rodri, there's no world-class player in this team. Like, it's not like in 08, 10, and 12 where you looked at that Spain team and thought, wow, they have just more talent than everybody else. That's not the case now with this Spanish team. Well, without question, they're the best footballing team.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, how to get 30, how to get 20, 20, 20, how to get 20, 20, how to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I did, obviously, we all saw the 08 to 12 team, and it was just tiki-taka, Pep Guardiola stuff out the wazoo. And I find this sort of team much more enjoyable. You obviously have the Ruiz in midfield, adds a bit more balance. Obviously, you can do the keeping the ball and stuff like that, but adding more legs in and around a fulcrum like Rodri, it's just, I just find it much more fun to watch. And then you have the two wingers that we always champion. And Morata just doing his job. He's never going to be the prolific goal scorer I think most people maybe thought he could be in his young days at Real Madrid, but it's just a team that works really well. And again, almost similarly to Spain, considering they had that, both sides had that mad group in the, was it the World Cup or was it the last Euro? It was the World Cup, wasn't it? Where Costa Rica and Japan were going through for like 5 minutes. It did turn around for the ages for both these sides, and hopefully they can keep developing and be entertaining. But in terms of this game, I picked Spain in our big prediction one. And yeah, I'm going to stick with them. They've been the best side. Defensively, Germany, I think Rudiger's been excellent. And he's obviously, I think he's stepped up quite a bit since he's went to Real Madrid. I obviously watched Real Madrid a lot less than I did of his Chelsea time, but their record speaks for itself. But I do feel like you can get at Germany, especially with directness and pace. But at the same time, you can get at Spain. We saw Georgia do it. It's just, does Germany have those same tools? I don't think someone like Leroy Sané is as direct a threat as Kavicha, for instance. But I'll pick Spain, and I think there will be goals in this. I will go 3-2 Spain.
Yeah, I feel like there'll be goals as well. I mean, there's there's just wonderful players that we can all be excited about watching on both sides. Players that are playing well, like Musiala is playing really well. For the Germans, Toni Kroos is playing really well. I think the hope would be that Florian Wirtz plays well because he's been a little bit quieter in this competition. Like you said, Rudiger's playing very well. I thought the Rudiger-Schlotterbeck centre-back pairing looked better than what we'd seen with Jonathan Tah. And if I was advising Julian Nagelsmann, it would be to stick with Schlotterbeck. I think the balance is better. I think you get better ball playing out from the back. A little bit quicker, I think, than Tah at this point as well. I'm going to pick Spain to win as well. I will go... Oh, actually, no, am I? Oh, God. I know I'm going to pick Germany to win. I'm happy to be wrong about this, but I'm going to pick Germany to win. I'll go 3-2 Germany. So you've got 3-2 Spain, I'll go 3-2 Germany. The other game today, Carl, or Guy rather, doesn't promise to be as exciting, even though on paper it's probably the better game given the talent on both sides. But these are two sides that have massively underperformed thus far. It's Portugal versus France, both of whom had quite the slog to get into the quarterfinals. France obviously needed a late own goal to beat Belgium, and Portugal needed penalties to beat Slovenia after a 0-0 draw. This strikes me as one that's going to be won by a single goal.
After extra time. It's not going to be pretty, is it? The only hope is that Mbappe steps up, and I think I don't know if it was just one of those BS quotes where he said he was missing someone like Pogba in midfield, and we know Pogba had such a weird career, but for France he did turn up, and albeit the Real Madrid lads seemingly still aren't trusted because Deschamps does translate directly to Gareth Southgate, they do seem to miss that passer in midfield. And Kante and Pogba just worked so well in that World Cup campaign so many years ago now. And replacing that with like Rabiot, I think Tchouaméni can do it, but he plays a lot deeper than Pogba does, obviously. They've never really, I don't think they've ever found the balance post that World Cup. I know they got to another final, etc., but it's just not been the same. Yeah, you're kind of just hoping all the good players just ignore what their bad managers and Ronaldo and Homelander are telling them. I do love that comparison, by the way. It's so spot on. Yeah, unless Mahrez grows a backbone, which we know he won't. It should be. This should be as good, if not better, than the other game, and it's just going to be awful. It's going to be awful. France don't look cohesive. Portugal they're just let down by one person who's basically playing for himself at the minute. France should win. And as we mentioned, after the Portugal game, they had multiple 40-year-old lads playing 120 minutes, give or take. And we know Pepe is so key because when they played the young lads against Georgia, Silva kind of shit the bed a bit. So you don't want him going against Mbappe. But at the same time, do you want tired 41-year-old Pepe against Mbappe directly? Probably not. So it's going to be a weird discussion. On paper, you just got to back France. They've got the best player in the world. And Mbappe does kind of have to... I feel like he does have to re-announce himself as the best player in the world because you got players like Vinicius Jr. coming for that crown. And obviously the Real Madrid move, he'll want that. But he's not really performed at any of the Euros, has he? Because Switzerland knocked him out last time. Maybe he's just one of everyone he performs at the World Cup. But I feel like this is definitely going to extra time and there's going to be tears. Hopefully Ronaldo's again. If it does go to penalties, I kind of almost back Portugal. But the penalties the other day were fantastic.
The penalties were exceptional. Like, absolutely exceptional. Even the one Cristiano took in the game that he missed was a really good penalty. and Bruno and Bernardo Silva took great penalties as well. If it does go to penalties, like Costa has proven now that he's a formidable sight in goal. Mike Magnon's a decent penalty saver. But yeah, I don't know if I'd back the French on a penalty shootout. I'm going to say France to win 1-0 in normal time. But a big part of that is, like, Rabiot's out, suspended, so Camavinga comes in. That automatically improves the French. I'm curious to see what else he does. Does he keep Marcus Thuram, who hasn't played well? Or does he bring in Kolo Muani, who at least made a difference when he came on? He should be bringing in Kanate at the back, but he's too stupid to do that. So I assume it'll be Upamecano and Saliba again. They've got to just hope Saliba doesn't make any more mistakes, because he's had Kante and Theo Hernandez bail him out thus far, and it's not doing anything to further the Arsenal agenda that he's one of the world's great centre-backs. I'll pick France to win 1-0. In normal time. So if you want to go 1-0 in extra time, that's acceptable.
I think I remember I backed Portugal, didn't I, in the big one? I think he may even sub Ronaldo at some point. Maybe. No, he won't. It's Roberto Martinez. He won't. I'm gonna back Portugal 1-0 after extra time.
There we go. Right. That will do us for today. We'll be back tomorrow to discuss England versus Switzerland and Netherlands versus Turkey. So thank you as always for listening. Hope Karl Matchett is having a dreadful day. Please send him some abuse on Twitter. It's @KarlMatchett. Tell him to get his ass out of bed or wherever it is he is. He's probably off doing busy work. But yeah, here we go. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
Nobody knew that healthcare could be so complicated.
Trump was a failure on healthcare.
Hundreds of thousands of Black Americans lost healthcare insurance. That is outrageous.
And if he's president again, he would cancel insurance for millions more of us.
We cannot go back. President Biden and Vice President Harris have lowered healthcare premiums and expanded coverage for Black families. They also capped the price of insulin at $35. Joe Biden is getting the job done for people just like me.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.